Let's do a very quick review of Vietnamese history from prehistory until now. We start off with some prehistory because there is evidence of early humans living in what is now Vietnam as far back as 500,000 years ago, and archaeologists have found stone tools from that time as well. But the first written mention we have of Vietnam is from 2879 BCE. This is when the legendary Hong Bong dynasty is said to have established the first kingdom of Văn Lang. Unfortunately, there isn't much evidence for this dynasty besides some mentions in Chinese histories. So it's possible that it's just a myth. What we do know is that beginning around 111 BCE, Vietnam came under the domination of the Chinese, specifically the Han dynasty. The next Chinese dynasty, the Tang, would also rule over Vietnam, and this went on until the 9th century CE. During this time, there were many Vietnamese rebellions against Chinese domination, such as the one led by the Trung sisters in the year 40 CE. They are national heroines of Vietnam. Another famous rebellion was led by Lady Trio in 248 CE, but the Chinese would continue to rule Vietnam for another 700 years after that. It wasn't until the year 939 CE that the Vietnamese finally won their independence. This was when Ngo Quyen defeated the Chinese at the Bac Giang River. After this, Vietnam would have several independent dynasties. The first was the Le dynasty from 1009 to 1225. They had their capital in the city of Thăng Long, which is today's Hanoi. The next dynasty was the Tran, who ruled from 1225 to 1400. They are most famous for repelling the Mongol invasions into Vietnam in the 13th century. Then we have the short-lived Ho dynasty from 1400 to 1407, and then back to Chinese rule again, with the Ming dynasty occupying Vietnam from 1407 to 1427. Finally, in 1428, Le Loi would lead the Vietnamese to victory over the Chinese and establish the Le dynasty, which lasted until 1789. During this time, Vietnam was divided between the Trinh lords in the north and the Nguyen lords in the south. There was a lot of fighting between these two local rulers until the Tai Son rebellion in 1771, led by Nguyen Hue, who eventually captured Thăng Long in 1786 and briefly reunited the country. He proclaimed himself emperor in 1789, starting the Nguyen dynasty. In the meantime, the French had been coming to Vietnam to trade, but in 1858 they began to conquer the country. By 1884, all of Vietnam was under French rule, and it became part of French Indochina. Then in 1907, the French built the Hanoi-based Dong Duong Railway, which connected northern Vietnam to southern China. In 1940, the Japanese took over Vietnam as part of their empire building in World War II. And in 1945, on September 2nd, Ho Chi Minh would declare Vietnam's independence from both the Chinese and the Japanese. After the Japanese surrendered later that year, the Vietnamese fought the French in the First Indochina War, which lasted until 1954. The French were finally defeated at the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, and the Geneva Accords would partition Vietnam into North Vietnam and South Vietnam. Then from 1955 to 1975, there was the Vietnam War, which was fought between North Vietnam and South Vietnam. North Vietnam was supported by its communist allies, while South Vietnam was supported by the United States and other anti-communist allies. In 1975, Saigon fell and Vietnam was once again reunited under communist rule. After this, Vietnam went to war with Cambodia in 1978, overthrowing the brutal Khmer Rouge regime. There was also a border war with China in 1979. In 1986, Choi Moi reforms introduced a market-oriented economy to Vietnam. In 1995, diplomatic relations with the United States were normalized, and in 2007, Vietnam joined the World Trade Organization. Today, Vietnam is experiencing rapid economic growth and has become a major player in the global economy. Thank you for watching.